And this appears to be your Old Tube Radio Network. The Old Tube Radio Network 27085 is our frequency where we are live on Channel 11. We're also now on the video channel as well. And, of course, with the glowing 6L6 at oldtuberadio.net. Welcome, everyone. The Old Tube Radio Network, where we talk about and glean information from and for the vintage tube radios, typically from 1958 to 1978, Class D, 11 meters. There were, of course, tube radios before that stopped by, but typically we focus on those in the Class D band, and you will hear some tonight when we start listening for the radios after the roll call of the shortwave listeners, which is coming up right now. So we will start with our current 00, who I believe is still up there in Coarsegold, over. All right, good run for 8 weeks. I'm looking for my check-in pen. Here it is, over on this desk, and we'll get you checked in. It looks like you've got 8 in a row, so I don't know. You might be in the running again for 00. Thanks for getting us started off, and we'll catch you on the bookends. For those just tuning in, whether it's oldtuberadio.net, maybe you're watching the video for the first time. If you're looking for the radios, they will be about 30 minutes ahead on the playback when we get done with the roll call. But we like to acknowledge our stations that tune in and listen in from local and afar. And you will hear, promise you'll hear some of your famous and favorite radios tonight when we start checking in the tube radios. SWL number 1 has somehow checked in the way he always does. SWL number 2 is over waving a hand on the video stream, which you can get to if you're at oldtuberadio.net. If you have a device, a Universal Media Netweb device, there's a little arrow in the front of your screen. If you click on that, it should take you to a YouTube video page where there is a chat. And you can see various stations. In fact, I should acknowledge who is out there. Hello, OBP. I just got you checked in. New York is in. Hello, Smarty Jones, of course. Utah. Hello, Ray. Might have some other stations coming by since there are possibilities of DX and items of interest. Also, Paul Williams. The famous singer Paul Williams is out there. Hello, Paul. Looking for DD21. I did not check. I was not able to log into the old radio night tonight, so I don't know if it was something I was doing or maybe it just wasn't there. Continue with the roll call. SWL3 is checked in from last night. I actually think I beat him at the bowling alley last night, or a Thursday night. I had some decent scores, sort of, kind of. SWL4. SWL5, Ida Mama Rose, who is recuperating, but back at home, and says hello to everyone. SWL6. Shortwave listener number 7.
SWL number 7, checking in.
You are sounding good as always. Hopefully the noise level is better than usual.
Actually, it's quiet over here. I probably shouldn't say anything.
All right, we won't say anything, but it's not bad here. You can hear the atmospherics trying to come in as we wonder if there will be. The major noise is my behind me stuff. I think I've got a bad fan or something that's clinking and clunking. So if you hear it sounds like someone's rattling on the window, it is fans dying. Of course, the jingle singers might be tapping on the glass. Thanks for checking in, Ed. SWL 11 and 12 checked in via email. SWL 13. And I will keep an eye out for those who check in or make a comment or wave a hand or whatever it is that one does at oldtuberadio.net. Let me see who is out there. Hello to California, Canada, Maryland, Georgia, coming up to you. Stations from Washington, New York is in, Ohio, yeah, hopefully they're, the jingle singers will behave. Colorado, Utah, a couple of Colorado stations. Hollywood, Florida, that is the home of Mr. Mal, NC4L. Where is the video up? I have one of Mr. Mal's Malcolmized FT102s up here on the rack. I don't think that's Mal tuning in, but hello to Hollywood, Florida. Hendersonville, Tennessee coming up to you. We've got Kentucky, North Carolina, and Tulare. We used to talk into Visalia, believe it or not, back in the early days when Visalia had a tube radio network going. Can you believe that? SWL 13. Don't see Mike on the page, but we'll look for Michael. SWL 14. SWL 15.
SWL 15 with a lot of noise.
A lot of noise, including this one right here, but you are sounding good, sir, and we've got you checked in. Over. Mr. Desert Rat, Fred, one of the OTR net controllers. Over to SWL 16, SWL 17, SWL 18 from the Facebook page, Mr. KD Egg. And then check in here on this 8-week roster, SWL 19, SWL 20.
Number 20 here, and also check in number 29. And I understand you to say that your noise is caused by you're behind something. Well, I hope your behind subsides so you don't have that noise. Talk to you later.
All right, sounding good. The items behind me. Switching the video over to the S meter so you can give yourself a signal report if you're watching the video, and that way you don't have to look at me for the roll call. I will try and keep what's behind and what's to the side and to the front of me quiet as we check in radios tonight. And you are sounding good, Harvey. Thanks for your check-in. Where do we go next? SWL 21. Mr. JT, are you beaconing in on... Let me refresh the comments here. I thought I saw South Carolina on our list tonight, but I don't see you on the other page. I will take a hold on that just in case you are not around. I didn't catch the old radio night tonight, and I thought that was my fault, but maybe you were out of the Radio Shack. Next we have SWL 22, SWL 23, SWL 24. SWL 24, hello, Joseph. We've got you checked in. Thanks for listening. SWL 25.
Hello, Dennis. Sound good tonight. 25.
25 sounding good. I didn't know if you were out and about at, what was it, Clovis Big Hat Days or Fat Hat Days or something going on. Might be playing in the band. And I am ready. If you check in the Howlercrafters radio tonight, I think I will be ready. So, sounding good.
I don't know what you'll be ready for, but I'll warm it up. Anyway, that'll be interesting. Anyway, back to you, Dennis. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm hoping I'm ready for a lot of stuff. Oops. Got to keep the foot switch going up. I hope I'm ready for a lot of things tonight. I will have, or should have, the Echo Link up. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but maybe things slow down a bit. We'll take some Echo Link contacts if that works, if I've got it connected correctly. It's always fun for our listeners who maybe aren't able to pick up a microphone near or far. Right now, the directed net roll call. Tube radio is coming up shortly. Over to page... Returning to the page, yeah. The pages might change. If I redo the roll call list, those who are near the page edges may end up somewhere else. SWL 27. SWL 29, we've got a check-in for Mr. Lohner, and that takes us over to SWL 31. There in Hendersonville, Tennessee, who I do believe is on the channel. Yes, tonight. Looking good. And I see you in the audience out there. So let's get Robert and Teresa checked in as they probably were in the radio room this week. There were some reports of DX, some skip, some things happening, some sunspot numbers, all that good stuff. SWL 32. Someone told me to proxy in 32, and I will. Sounds like Doyle may be able to be a bit more radioactive in the radio room, so might hear him on some of the bands in some mode of operation. SWL 33, myself, the Jingle Singers, Bozo Control. Is he anybody tap? There they go, okay. Honking the proboscis through the big oak door where it says on the air, which we are indeed are. Thanks. I'm checked in. Then we go over to SWL 35, Mr. Bill, radioactive in the Red Monkey Mobile. The big trailer is going to be out somewhere here in the next few days. I saw the post. Hello from hello to Cheyenne from Central Fresno. And I see you checking in there, Mr. Bill. Thank you. Over to SWL 36. SWL 37.
37 here, Dennis. I got to tell you something here. This has been really funny. I've been sitting here trying to figure out what's going on with my radio and you. You're coming in here about 10 over, swinging up to about 45 over. And I'm sitting here listening, and all of a sudden I hear somebody else yip, and they sound like a little mouse. I just happened to realize that I was on the sideband because I was just to skip up on the other one. But SWL 37 here, and we finally got our brain back.
You were listening to my, what do they call it, suppressed carrier, or no carrier for that matter, as you had it perfectly zero-beated and tuned out. And then when somebody else came up that wasn't quite at 27085, you heard the heterodyne. Very good. It's good to know that I have forward modulation or upward swing or whatever they call it. You are sounding good in the AM mode, and we got you checked in.
All right. Thank you, Dennis.
Over to SWL 39. SWL 40. That's probably still working the skip on 38 lower. It'd be interesting to see if we can get some of the long-distance stations tonight. SWL 41. The old tube radio check-ins will be coming up after the roll call. Stay tuned for your favorite seldom heard radios. SWL 42.
Good evening, Dennis and Nanette. 42, 90, and 137 for the triple play.
All right, the first of which is yourself, sounding quite nice. I don't have the Orban loudness meter on, but I know you'd be tearing it up. Sounding good. Thanks for checking in. SWL 43. Wow, I hear you, but just barely getting the audio. And anyway, sir, we've got you checked in. Over. Yeah, do I have my noise blanker on? I don't know. I'm not getting the audio, but the carrier's there. I'm sure you're doing fine. It's our typical bouncy off the ground wave item of interest. Speaking of bouncing off the ground waves, here's a station that is waiting for the conditions to happen tonight, SWL 44, who is listening and waving hand over on the video chat. Mr. DDX is there. Hello, Ray. You are looking good. Hopefully we'll get some conditions. Keep the Tar Heel at the ready. Let's try SWL 45.
Not good tonight, Dennis. 45.
And likewise, we will be ready. Where did I put the old tube radios? There it is. It's the bottom of the stack. We'll get into that soon, and no doubt you will have a few of yours on there. Thanks for checking in.
You, Dennis, I bet you figured this radio out already.
No, you stumped me pretty. You got enough of them there where you can stump the net control pretty easily. SWL 46. Shortwave listener 47. SWL 48. Well, that makes it easy. I always have a note to look on the Facebook page and look on the Old Tube Radio Net page, and all they have to do is listen in, and there you are. Thanks for checking in, Sam. SWL 49. to look for a Wisconsin entry on the big page. That'll be 49. He's been in the last couple of weeks. It's been fun. SWL 50. SWL 51.
SWL 51 checking in.
SWL 51 from somewhere around Sangertown. Sounding good, sir. I think that might be your, 1,000th in a row. I don't know. We'll find out. Those that do have 8 in a row on this roster sheet will be in the running to serve as our 00 to get things started off. Looking for SWL 52. SWL 53.
Hello, Dennis. 53 checking in.
Hello, Mr. Bel Air. We've got the X in the square. Thanks for listening in to the Old Tube Radio Network.
Thank you.
If we're playing the home game, we're on page 3, looking for SWL 54. SWL 55.
55 checking in, Dennis. I don't know if you can hear me on this different radio, and I might have a small hum.
Radio sounds good. You are S9, 5 over with the audio. Audio's a little low, and I do not hear a hum even on the headphoniums.
Yeah, good deal. Thanks, Dennis.
I hear a hum. I don't even know the words. Now, here's someone who not only can hum, but does know the words when the steam is flowing in the right direction. SWL 56.
Good evening, Dennis and the net. 56, just for kicks.
Sounding good, Phil. I will put the X in the square. Over we go to SWL 57. SWL 58.
WL 58, checking in from the ditch bank, Biola, where the grass is green and so is the chili verde. Thanks, Dennis.
Who was it? Was it Kermit the Frog who used to sing "It Ain't Easy Being Green," especially if you are in the ditch banks or a chili or a Kermit the Frog? Thank you, sir. The break OTR, go ahead, over.
Yeah, that's 43. Is that a little bit better?
Oh, man, that is 100% better, over.
Yeah, with that little square thing you put your microphone.
All right, it is doing good. You had carrier, but I just wasn't getting the audio, and of course with my as WA1HLR would say, as my piss week station here, sometimes I will take the blame, but we'll share it this time.
Yeah, as soon as you said something, I looked up at my meter.
In fact, you are so loud. I'm going to go back to the 43, and we're going to press the button again, and of those looking at oldtuberadio.net will see that you've checked in once again.
What?
You are checked in, sir. Over.
Thank you. Have a nice evening.
It was a nice day. If this was spring was happening, and same thing tomorrow. Directing that roll call is where we are at. The Old Tube Radios will be parading across your Universal Media Net web device shortly as we look for the ditch bank sounding good. How about SWL 59? SWL 60.
Hello, Dennis, and hello, crew there for sure. SWL 60 checking in. This is Jake Space, the 291, the 2527.
Sounding good, wearing the big hat and the big radio as well. Thanks, Joe. SWL 61.
61 checking in, Dennis.
Sounding good. Good signal tonight. Dean, we've got you checked in here in Midtown Fresno. Thanks.
Thank you, Dennis. Hey, I got a question for you, sir.
I will see if I have an answer over.
Not that I wanted to, but if something was to happen and the number 54 comes available, is there any way I can get that number?
Yeah, actually, you know what? Typically, we used to do number swapping if someone had perfect attendance, meaning that it's okay, they're around, and you actually do. So if that is, I will make a note here, and if that is an item, we can do that.
Thank you, Dennis. That's my race number.
All right, good deal. We will see. I think the current 54 is kind of down due to some technical difficulties due to lightning. So we'll see what happens.
No, hell, he may outlive me, but I'm just saying, if something happens or you decide you don't want to check in tomorrow or whatever happens, if the number becomes available, I'd like to have it.
All right, I've got you marked in as a perfect 8 weeks here, so that qualifies for a number swap, so no problem.
Thank you, sir. Have a good evening.
Speaking of big hat days, how about SWL 62? That's Rex out in Clovis. He may be still out there waving the big hat. SWL 63, that's Bubba, New York, representing all our New York stations out there who stay up very late, they start very late and stay up very early to listen to the tube radios. Over to SWL 64.
64 checking in.
SWL 64, OEJ, if I do it that way. We've got you checked in, Jack. And the fan is making noise in the back. SWL 65.
65, checking in.
Sounding good on the old tube radio network at 27085 live and direct and beaconing across the entire universe. Thanks, Eric.
Thanks. I stepped away from the radio for a minute. I'll proxy 55 if he didn't check in.
Let's see, you don't have to do that. He was sounding pretty good from up in Shaver tonight.
Awesome, thanks. Have a good one.
We are looking for SWL 66. Shortwave listener 67. Hey, we've got a 60-something to break. OTR, go ahead.
This is 62 out in Clovis. I had a dead night, but I'm okay now, I guess, because I guess we're checking in downtown Clovis.
There is carrier. There is audio on your AM carrier. You might even see some wiggle meters or blinking lights on the front of your radio. I thought maybe you had, from the big hat days, you might have had your hat over the microphone there. It's working good now. Lucky Lindy from beautiful downtown Clovis, number 62. We called 60. Let me call 68 again. That's Thomas out in Texas. Checking the big list. Haven't heard Thomas in a while. He's our Texas station. Where are all the five lands? Where's Texas these days? Let's try. Let's see if the Mustang 2 is up and running. SWL 69. Was that a 69 over? How about SWL 70?
Hello, Dennis. 70 checking in.
That is definitely a 70 checking in. You are sounding good, sir. Thanks for listening.
As are you. Thanks for transmitting.
If that's what I'm doing, if I hit the foot switch, there is RF leaking. Leaking out of the SO, what is that, PL2, SO239 into the coax from Dallas, Georgia. Hoping that we might get a Pierce Simpson Guardian tonight. It's been a while. SWL 71, Stan, who is right at the top of my page with the Mr. Announcer icon. Hi, Stan. We've got you checked in. And I'm going to try and have the Echo Link item hooked up here later, so might be able to do some direct connects or through the things or whatever. If it gets slow, we'll see what happens. That takes us over to SWL 72. SWL 73. I'm going to check in 73. He was on the crossband earlier this evening. Get him checked in here. SWL 74.
Yeah, if you get proxy 74 in, that would be great. Thank you.
I can do that. I know she is probably around making sure that the ranch is running smoothly. And so we will get 74 checked in. Thank you. SWL 75. Shortwave listener 77.
Good evening, Dennis, and all the listeners. Old Dennis the Menace here in the Tower District on the Tower of Power, waving a hand. 77, checking in.
Audio always sounding good. The Tower of Power. Was doing my Tower of Power thing earlier. Down there on Washon Avenue. And all is kind of well. Nothing's broken down there anyway. You are sounding good. Thanks for checking in.
Check, check.
SWL 78. SWL 79. Oh, he must be shooting Skip because I know he's out there. SWL 80. Before we head over to page 4, let me see who is out lurking on the video side. Mr. Brian, the mighty KUH, waving a hand. And from Northeast Georgia, of course, Butterbean. Always good to have him aboard. The mighty Juliet Whiskey, John out of Ohio, is waving a hand. This is all over on the video chat, which you can get to by going to old2radio.net and clicking on the little arrow for the video items of interest. Appalachian Andy, welcome to you. What's the ET device you are talking through? Well, the Universal Media NetWeb, the radio and the audio connects up 27085 is where we are live in the Central Valley. So if you've got your radio in the Appalachians, the antennas pointed toward the west, listen at 27085. Otherwise, you can pick us up at old2radio.net or just like you're doing on the live video stream, which is live right now, Saturday, the 6th of April, 2019. Not sure when you are watching, but that's when we're making this video. Over to page 4, the roll call. Radio's coming up shortly. SWL 81.
81 checking in. Oh, wow, that's kind of loud. I think I found the AC hum problem. It looks like it's going to be a little bit involved to fix it, but I put some fresh tubes in this radio. This is a Scott DAC Mark 9 radio telephone. And I put a couple of 6L6s in there. And right behind the 6L6s, I saw a capacitor that's all kind of bulged out on top. So I got a pretty good idea that's where that hum's coming from.
Yeah, I think that capacitor is not doing a thing. The hum is loud, but you're making it over. Bulging is good if you're Arnold Schwarzenegger, but not good if you're an electrolytic capacitor in any form of device. The audio is nice and loud, so whatever you changed out, and the signal is good, that's all working. We just gotta get some more filtering in there. Over.
Yeah, Rickshaw's going to check and see. He said he may have a filter cap that I can put in there, but that's really not the real battle is changing it. It's in a hard spot to get to, and motivation is maybe lacking a little bit, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, it's working. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. No, if it ain't fixed, don't break it. Or if it's just broken a little bit, who cares? But it's sounding good, and we are glad to have you aboard the old Atuba Radio Network.
I think one of the ways I heard it was if you can't fix it, get a bigger hammer. Thanks for the check-in, OTR. I'm out listening.
Oh, yes, the old Tube Radio Network. This is the big hammer frequency. We'll see how many radios need to have the hammer taken to them tonight. Usually not too many. But if necessary, we will help you through it. SWL 82.
82, checking in from the Ditch Banks of Iowa. Good evening.
82 on the big iron. That's the sound. That's the sound that makes the old Tube Radio Network. We got you checked in. SWL 84.
84, there, Dennis. 2 weeks in a row. How about that? Like I said, we are surely, slowly, but surely trying to make it come back here. So, anyway, if you could check in my girls, I'd really appreciate it, Dennis. Roger.
I can do that, and I will do that. I see 2 X's in the square. In bowling, we call that a double. 2 strikes back to back. That's always a good thing, and that's what you've got here. We got you checked in. We will get to the rest of the gang at the appropriate time.
Thank you, Dennis.
And good to have you back at the big desk. Sounding good here. Let's try Reedley. I'm going to call, but we do have a proxy check-in for SWL 85. got John checked in via a check-in earlier. SWL 86, SWL 87, and SWL 88. That is the Mountain Maid, Tandy Girl, and the Snowy Owl all checked in. Takes us to SWL 89.
Comment.
The comment, go over.
Yeah, did we get Kenny checked in?
Yes. No. I thought I heard, I thought we did. No, I will do that.
Yeah, it was Proxy Kenny in.
All right, thanks. That was right. I was listening for the Mustang 2, and I didn't even hear a Mustang 1. Waiting for the Mustang 3. SWL 89, I have a note here to get a proxy check-in for Mr. Darren, who was on FM a while back. We do have a check-in for SWL 90. That's number 2 out of 3. And then let's see if we can hear Madeira, SWL 92. I will try again. I did not see the info that I was looking for at the end of the month. There is something happening at the Madeira Radio Club. Let's see if I can get some info on that tonight, because Chuck did mention that last week. SWL 93.
Fresno Sandbagger 1 checking in.
Sandbagging no more. Well, that's a true sandbagger. You hang out. You hang out until it's absolutely necessary to jump, and then you make a big leap. You are sounding good, sir.
Thank you much. You have a good evening there, and we're out.
All right, sounds good. And from the big page at oldtuberadio.net, SWL 40. It's probably out looking for the skip on 38, maybe listening to the 10-meter beacons if there are any. That's a good way to tell if things are opening up. The 10-meter beacons are in. You can certainly suspect that you will be getting some DX conditions down here on 11 meters. 40 is checked in. How about SWL 98?
Checking in, Dennis.
And good evening, sir. Mr. Fresno, Dave with the X and the Square. Thanks for listening.
Thank you.
And the DX beacons are loud and proud tonight.
And a lot of those are running 5 watts, 25 watts. So you get the little CW blip on 5 watts. Your 5 watts plus a few might work well wherever it might be. Let's see if Jeff is still out in the mobile. SWL 103. He was on early. Asked for a check-in if he wasn't able to be out there, and we'll do that, Jeff, if you're listening. And not able to get the microphone in, we've got you checked in. Next, we have SWL 109. Shortwave listener 110. From an earlier check-in, as he's kind of on a different time zone. When you get up at 4:30 in the morning, you're pretty much on East Coast time. So you go to bed as the sun goes down here on the West Coast. Robert, if you're listening, or when you're listening, I should say, you are checked in. Shortwave listener 113. SWL 114.
114, checking in.
Here's another station that I think has like thousands check-ins in a row. SWL 114. Hello, Wayne. You're sounding good.
Thank you.
Then we head over to the digital side. Fairfax, Virginia, I think, would be close by, and that would be SWL 128, who is on and listening. Greetings and salutations. Checking in from with beautiful weather, 70 degrees. And as I mentioned, we're going to try the Echolink, have the link up. Probably the thing to do is go to the locations and click on that and look for Fresno. Might see me in there a little bit later. Let's see, where else are we going here? Just about done with the roll call. Radios are coming up, and you've got to make sure the coax is connected, and they are warming up properly. SWL 131.
Quickie break.
The quickie break, go, over.
Thank you, OTR. Hey, Wayne, if you're still on this one, let's go back to your other one. Thanks for the break.
Let's try SWL 131. Northeast Fresno. Beaconing, SWL 133.
Good evening, Dennis. 133 is checking in.
Checking in and checked in. Thank you, Dave. And Butterbean is burning the dust off the messenger tube. That is part of the fun of tube radioing. When you are in the driver's seat, there is the visual that they look cool and the kind of tactile, pressing the microphone and talking and getting on the air. And then there's the olfactory, the burning dust. It's like putting up that first, that Christmas tree and smelling the pine needles. It's kicking on that old tube radio network, old tube radio on the old tube radio network and smelling the dust burn off the tubes. That's the good smell. There's other smells that aren't so good that happen, but we hope that won't be the case tonight. Let's try SWL 135. Got a note for a proxy check-in for Mr. Green Arrow. Even though he might not be here tonight, you will be seeing a lot of his great photographs from his Radio Shack as we check in radios. SWL 137 completes the triple play for AJ. Over to SWL 145.
Can you proxy in 145, Tony, please?
Yeah, Tony always had a great signal here into Midtown. We will get 145 checked in.
Thank you for the check-in. You couldn't make it tonight.
All right, not a problem, but he is checked in. Next check-in, let me go to the big board. SWL 147 might be a bit early. Or is that a bit late for 147? I don't see Neil in just yet, but we'll keep an eye out for a Kakalaki. Coming up to, let's get X4000, who has fired up the photon generators, raised the antenna to 10,000 feet, and is beaconing here into the Central Valley. From Brentwood, X4000, hello to you. We started it off with our 00 in Course Gold, SWL 195. It is your turn once again.
195, checking in, boss. Thank you.
And you're still sounding good. How does he do that? Over to SWL 226. Any stations that would like to check in that I missed, or you're just coming in now before we start the tube radios, OTR listening? Sounding pretty quiet. Remember, you can check in any time that we are on the air. You see the glowing 6L6 on the screen, and you don't have to have any numbers or any prior experience on the old Tube Radio Network to key up and say hello, or even check in a radio, which is what we will be doing in just a moment. I'll be setting up for the tube radios, and when I come back, there will be the Jingle Singers, your radios, and the old Tube Radio Network. Oh, there is somebody way out there. The break OTR, go ahead, please, over. All right, right in my noise, 650, waving a hand to the old Tube Radio Network here at 27085 in the Central Valley and everywhere else. Thanks for jumping in there, over. And also Centerville, looking good. Back in a moment as I jump around and get ready for our tube radio check-ins. Back in a moment. And Centerville is a hard hop to make. Down in a hole there, but it's sounding good at Midtown Fresno. Back in a bit. And hello once again. I will say you are listening to the Old Tube Radio Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, time now for the current OTR
All right, we can
total.
do that. The current OTR totals are 0. Why? Why are they 0? Because we're just starting the net here and nobody has checked in. But I do have our 0. Why? I do have the list. Why are they 0? Because we're just starting the net here. And we don't need to hear that, guys. So before I get into any more trouble, I'm going to unkey and say we are listening for radio number 1.
45. 25.
45 and 25. Thanks for saving me for my usual technical faux pas that seem to happen when I'm starting up the net here. Jerry, step into the green room. The jingle singers and whoever else is in there will help you out. And as Paul jumps into the air chair, our first radio check-in at 8:46. You can hear it's almost like a little rattle going on back there with the fan. So maybe I will be smelling smoke that isn't quite the dust burning off the tubes. But before that, we'll check in as many radios as possible. Hello, Paul.
Yeah, Dennis. I hope it's working. Yeah, this is my general radio telephone, Super MC12.
Good choice. Someone, and I don't have the name right offhand, mentioned they just picked up, almost like new in the box, pristine general radio telephone MC12, the last in the MC series that typically we can check in here. Let me grab a picture, which I think I have. We'll pop over to that, and we'll go to you for a transmission. Tell us what you think about the MC12, over.
Well, I'll tell you what, the outside is about the same as the MC11. 11, you know, the one after before this one. But the inside, boy, I'll tell you what, they did a lot of different things in the thing. They increased the tubes in the thing, and it just made a difference. They did so many things in it. I'll get back to it later if you want to finish up a little something there, and let's see what you got to say.
Just logging in here in on the sheet where we're talking with Paul from his collection. He's got the General Radio Telephone Super MC12, the last in the Super MC line that was one you were able to buy. We do have a prototype of an MC100, but I don't think that was ever for sale. MC12, like Paul said, a lot like the MC11A. At the time, let's see, General Radio Telephone was sold to Skyhawk Antenna Company in 1972. They upgraded the MC12 with a much larger and powerful final audio tube. And they had with doing that, they had some trouble getting it type accepted by the FCC. Maybe if they would have called it a business band radio or something, they would have got through. But I'm glad, Paul, you've still got one in the shelf over there.
Yeah, I'm pleased with this radio. As you know, though, when I have the picture, that picture is the one that I got from Jim, SWL1, and it kind of gobbled the transformer, so I lost it. And I picked this one up from Bob Millen down in San Diego from his beautiful collection. He passed away a number of years back, but I got his radio, and I'm real proud of it. Anyway, this thing, like you say, it has a larger audio tube with a 6-sheet end in the thing. But the squelch is what they really made a difference. They call it a super squelch. And the squelch is in the RF section using one half of the RF tube. And they give you squelch and RF gain at the same time. And it really works neat. They have something really going. Too bad they couldn't get more of it made like this. I'm running a CM3 Shermatic generator telephone microphone on the thing. And it's made by Turner, which I'm proud of that. They decided to put this in all their radio, which I'm glad. They use a lot of Turners in their thing. A few in between ones, they had ones, but the Turners were the mainstay. So anyway, I've just about covered everything in the thing. It's just really a neat radio.
Sure sounds good looking at the S meter. It's one of those ones that you think should be stronger on the S meter than what I'm hearing. The audio is so nice. About 7.5, 8 S units, and then you will modulate up to S9 or just below S9. That is tweaked or set perfectly because the audio isn't pinched off at all, and has nice forward carrier. That is, or was, the last General Radio Telephone that they manufactured, actually got out for sale, and you've got it tuned up perfectly. You definitely don't want to lose a transformer in any type of radio. That's usually the part that's very hard to replace when they burn up. So too bad about the other one, but I guess it becomes another radio where you do have some parts available, or if that parts radio becomes available, you have a transformer you can put in. And we are always glad to listen to and talk with anything out of Bob's collection, which occasionally pieces and parts of that still come up for sale, and they're always in really, really good condition. And I know they listen in down there occasionally sometimes to this net, the Old Tube Radio Net, so we thank them for keeping the radio sets alive. As yourself, Paul, with sharing your collection with us on Saturday evenings, like the one here, the General Radio Telephone Super MC12, starting us off. Back to you for another transmission on a great radio from 1972.
Yeah, that was. I really have a problem using that radio for parts. It's so doggone pretty, the one that Jim's had. So it's going to be the last resort before I have to strip it down for parts. So it's sitting there in one piece and then looking at it, all you can do. It's not in this room. I don't have room for it. But anyway, that's about it. Thanks again, Dennis.
Well, like I was thinking, you will maybe find an MC12 that actually is a parts radio, but the transformer is working, and then it may become a nice project. You are listening to the Old Tube Radio Network, wherever you might be listening, whether it's 27085 on your radio, or hello to those watching the live video stream here, April 6th. If it's August 6th, it's definitely not live, but if it's April 6, 2019, you're watching it live or kicking in on your Universal Media Net web device at oldtuberadio.net. We're going to hear from the Jingle Singers, and then we will pick up radio number 2 as Jerry heads into the air chair here at OTR.
How do you do? Ladies and gentlemen, greetings to you. Wherever you are, your favorite spot on the dial by far is known to you as
OTR, the Old Tube Radio Network.
The station for you is
OTR.
The station for you, especially those of you who enjoy the old radios or maybe the old days, like what happened to CB radio? Well, this is sort of what it used to be like. Those of us around remember chatting with our friends on whatever channel we might have chosen and hop up to another channel and talk. And if it was really busy, they had the little 5-minute rule. You could talk for 5 minutes and let someone else break in, and they would take the channel for 5 minutes. And it was hard to find. I grew up in Southern California in the late 60s and 70s, and it was hard to find an open space sometimes to get in and chat, but it was always fun to listen. And we hope that is the case here with the Old Tube Radio Network. If you can't get into chat a bit, hello, Jerry, over.
Hello, Dennis. By the way, thank you for your hospitality, as always, the Jingle Singers. By golly, what a spread at the green chair with the beer and the pretzels, and the Jingle Singers were enjoying their champagne. Anyway, 25 checking in on a Brown Golden Eagle Mark III SB 2-piece radio with the spot button, and it's always good to spot everything in. That calibrates the receive to the transmit. And anyway, good radio. Off the red, the red on the air light is on, and I'm transmitting with the non-powered banana mic. So anyway, back to you, Dennis.
Back to me in the studio. Let me take pictures. I've noticed when we do the picture swap, the audio on the video goes kind of wonky, and that's mainly because it doesn't like IE. It likes Chrome better, but Chrome doesn't like the video, so we have to make a compromise. Speaking of audio, there is no compromise with that radio. the stock or the unamplified microphone into the front of the transmitter, the Mark III SSB transmitter-receiver combination. Let me get it in the shot so that, where are we going here? There we go. You can see the microphone. The top unit is the receiver that's got the speaker, and if I scroll down, there is the transmitter. It will do upper and lower sideband and a few other cool things, even unmodified. It sounds great. And whenever I get done here, Jerry, and I walk over to the other studio, there is never any champagne left or anything. So I don't know if they hide it or if it's just they don't buy enough for net control.
Well, the only thing I can do is they're Horton. Anyway, Dennis, 23 channel VFO receive. Thanks for checking it in. And boy, I tell you what, Paul's General Radio Telephone MC, I think that was a 12. Things sound good. So anyway, back to you, Dennis.
Really nice audio on the MC-12. Very much like the Brownings, where they've got the good sharp highs and the good sharp mids, and it modulates the carrier well, and you don't have to shout or have massive amplification on your microphoniums to make it work. Again, from 1972, maybe that was the year. 1972 for the Super MC-12. Maybe they were trying to be like Browning. And then from 1972, the banner, or the kickoff year for the Mark III, when they decided how to get all that giant 6 feet of Mark II. If you have it across your table stuck into two pieces, sounding pretty good, you could, I think, get the sideband version around $700. About $200 less, you could get the AM transmitter with that same receiver if you wanted to, but it would sound great and like a Browning. Thanks for bringing it by, radio number 2 on our Old Tube Radio Network.
Thanks, Dennis. And we'll see if we can bring you a little surprise here in a minute. 25, listen.
Yeah, this is the surprise frequency. Also, let's say hello to TB40 Ford. That's Travis in the Bluegrass State. Played a little bluegrass music this week on the radio station. It was Steve Martin and the Steep Canyon Rangers for a few cuts here. And Dino sees your note, Sam. I knew he was around. He's recuperating from that lightning strike. It's always good to hear Larry when he can get on. I know he's like Robert. He gets up early and goes to bed early. Sometimes he will stay up late and join us here on the Old Tube Radio Network. Speaking of joining us, we are looking for Radio 3. There is someone beaconing down here into Midtown Fresno. I believe that is Paul. Hello, over.
Yeah, well, better hop in here while there's no one in here. Got a chance to check the radio in. Quite a change from my MC-12. I'm taking it a VS number 2. That's the first VS vibration service radio that Sarah made. Back to you.
I've got, what do I have, a VS2 or VS4? I've got something here. I don't think I could ever, had some receive issue where I couldn't quite do a net control on it. Let me see, we've got a shot of the VS Vibration Service 2. Different than the Master Control in that I guess it was made more for mobile use. Okay, I've got a picture and it says it is from your collection. It might even be the one that you are talking on. Let me get it centered up here. And then we'll go back to you for a transmission. A, B, C, D, E. You can do the alphabet, over.
Okay. Now that one picture you should have 2 VS2s in there. The one on the bottom is the original one. Mine is top with the holes put into it. Have you got that?
All right, I'm showing one has got 2 switches. Let me switch over to the other one, which I think is the standard. That's got the 2 knobs. That's interesting. The one that says it's from your collection actually has an addition of 2 slide switches.
Yeah, that comes from the factory that way. And I don't really know why they did it. It had the holes already cut in, it had the switches there, with nothing wired. The inside was stock BS2. But they had the outside set up with the switches to BS4. And so I don't know what their idea is of that. I'm glad I got that radio. But this is just a regular BS2 like Jim's. I was hoping the one on the bottom, that straight BS2, if you got a picture of it, the one that's out of your mind with the slide switches, kind of confusing. But I was hoping that one on the bottom was a straight BS2, and that was the one by Jim. Is that correct?
I believe you are correct. Let me see if we got some info on this. The VS2, 1962 to 1963, around $140, 5 crystal-controlled channels. The serial number C9909 has 2 slide switches in the face of the radio that are not hooked to anything. Unknown if it was a factory modification or not, or maybe a prototype that got that got sent out by mistake. Over.
Okay, well that's my old one with the holes in it. Have you got a picture of the other one without that?
Yeah, let me switch over to that. I was reading some comments from our video side. Some people saying that was one of the first radios. Okay, there is the standard. Move it up just a little bit. It's got the light, the pilot light, the 2 rotary knob controls, and apparently no switches added. Over.
Okay, well that's just exactly like Jim. I used to love it when he talked on that thing. I was hoping to get it out someday again and keep up with the thing. But these class radios I tell you what, they're a little bitty radio like that one I had on earlier. These are just a mobile radio, and they're built like a tank. They're really strong. Kind of interesting. The same thing they said is put in forklift trucks, tractors, boats, and jeeps. There's right on that by Charles Messenger, that's chief engineer for General. He got quite interested right up on this thing. It's really elaborate little machine. Not big, but well, I'll tell you what, it puts out a pretty good signal, and the receiver isn't bad on the thing either. That sounds good to you?
Well, that was, citizen band radio was not for hobby communications. It was to make a contact, make a transmission to another unit in your call sign of your station, and so you didn't need an S meter. You needed something that was tough, a couple of channels that were easy to select while you were driving down the road, and maybe a pilot light to let you know you were on the air, and a control to be able to hear what was going on. And they did quite well with that, 1962 and 63. I was looking to see if it mentioned that it would run off a 6-volt, or there's a 6-volt version. I imagine there was. Looking at the S meter, your unmodulated carrier is almost, it's just a little lower, but almost the same as the MC12. But boy, what a difference in the audio on the 12. But this one's sounding quite nice here on the old Tube Radio Network. Over.
Yeah, the old standard carbon mic. Another microphone made by Turner. It's strictly carbon all the way. It's not going to be like the other one at all. But it does a good job. I'll tell you, for a little bit of radio, it puts out a lot. I don't understand why they're not more popular. You don't see very many hitting them. The ones they see out there are reasonably cheap on eBay or wherever you get them at. But they do put out the same thing as the big ones do. They're just not fancy, that's all. So that's about it. I was just going to this thing. I can tell you a lot of different things about it, but some other time. Back to you, Dennis.
Well, thanks. We're glad you take the time to share the collection with us. They're, from what I understand, the General Radio telephones are more, you can find them easily here on the West Coast. It might have something to do with Burbank, but a lot of stations don't get a chance to hear the General Radio telephones on the East Coast. So if you're listening from that, this is from built in California, down in Southern California, around Los Angeles and Burbank. Remember Gary Owens, beautiful downtown Burbank. He used to hold his ear on Mr. Announcer on Laugh-In. That's the town, beautiful downtown Burbank, where these originated from. in the 60s and 70s, and where they originate from again here in 2019, thanks to our radio operators and the Old Tube Radio Network. We have the Jingle Singers, I think, gathering up near the ribbon microphoniums. They will give you an item of interest, and then we'll be listening for your radio check-ins.
How do you do? Ladies and gentlemen, greetings to you, wherever you are. The friendliest station for you by far is known to all and
OTR, the Old Tube Radio Network.
the station for you is
OTR.
25.
Hello, 25. Well, we're having some video problems here. Let me put up something. Let me see if we can get to the yes meter. Okay, got some. The video is down, but I hope the audio. It looks like the audio is still running on that. And 25. Hello, Paul. Jerry. Let me get you marked in as Radio 4, so you will be able to jump into the air chair. Over.
All righty. Well, actually, I'm restringing my Gibson Les Paul 1972 vintage. I've got a gig coming up in a week or so, doing kind of multitasking, if you will. But I will like to check in on this Holocrafters Citizens Band CB3A. It's like 8-channel, simple radio. It's got the S meter and the VFO on the front, and the red light on the lower left-hand side. And talking on a non-powered D104. Back to you, Dennis.
Good stuff from Holocrafters. Looks like I've got the video back up, so I will find a shot of the CB3A, and I'll try and kick over to that while I'm talking to you so that we don't get the audio glitch. And there it is. And I'm glad the cameras are back up, because that'll help me out with what I have to do. That's a great shot. That's one of SW135 Cliff's radios from his collection. Go back to you for a transmission. Do you remember where you got that, or how you got that Holocrafters? Over.
You know what? I'll be honest with you, Dennis. I think I bought it on eBay probably back in 2000 or 2001, because the old number 8 got me kind of hooked on old tube radios and trying to get a collection. And by golly, I've got a collection you would not believe. But anyway, I think I got it off of eBay way back in 2001, 2002, something like that.
Maybe those are the days when you could actually get something on eBay that wasn't way overpriced. I am marking in the Holocrafters radio here, the CB3A. Very popular 1962-63. If you had any CB radio magazine, you would probably see an ad for the little phone. Let me take a moment. I wanted to say hello to Fayetteville, North Carolina. I think that's Kakalaki there. I think that's Neil checking in. We will get you checked in there, 147. And our new station's listening in from Framingham, Mass. There was a station I used to talk to on AM all the time. I'd have to look back at my log from 30 years ago. It was a station and booming into Fresno all the time from Framingham. And hello to Elk Grove. I think that's a little too far and too close for our conditions tonight. And also, Oceanside is with us again. If that's Greg, is that Greg in Oceanside? We'll have to talk to you sometime about your books if it is. But if not, anyway, welcome Oceanside. The Holocrafters CB3A, it doesn't look like there are any vents. I've got one back here. I should check. I guess the venting is in the back of the radio. Can you cook on that? Does it get really hot?
No, it sounds good. And you were
No, but now that you mention it, let me jump back to the control room video here. If I find the switch and the camera's working. Yes, it is. And I've got you logged in for Radio 4 is a helicopter CB3. I'm going to hopefully not drop anything. I'm going to go to the workbench, and we are going to pull over another helicopter. It's my helicopter that I picked up in 1969. It is the FM 1000. This is, unfortunately, when your helicopters is probably from the Chicago factory. This is probably from the factory in Japan. It's the FM 1000. This is how I spent most of my time being an SWL with the FM AM DXing. Let's see if it actually works here. I'm gonna spend a little bit of your dime. It runs on AC and batteries. The battery compartment is back here, and I got to be careful that it doesn't come apart. And it's crackling. Hey, there you go. Look at that. That is the radio station I work for. In the Saturday evenings, they have a rap show, I think, from 9 to 11. That's Dougie D on the FM band. So let's try AM. See if we get some. Whoa. Oh, hey, I'm coming through.
The next verse will be incomplete.
I'm actually coming through the radio. Anyway.
Articulate.
Is that me?
Seems unlikely. But the real problem seems...
Yeah, it's KMJ. Let's DX. Let's even get KNX out of Los Angeles. I don't even have a good antenna. That might be KNX out of Los Angeles. See, I'm actually coming through. Hear the feedback? That's the antenna port right there. When I touch it? All right, let's go back to FM. Did I break it yet? Oh, here we go. That's some dirty controls. That's some very dirty controls.
Let's make this happen.
Sounds pretty good.
Your new mail artist of the year.
The FM 1000 has a tone control. It's got the big vernier tuning dial. And the AM, FM, AFC, and that giant speaker. And the reason I liked it had that antenna port. And so I built myself, let's get rid of that so I don't break it. I built myself a long wire antenna from the front yard to the backyard, and I had a lot of fun with that. So that's the FM 1000, still working. That's my it's unfortunately, let me show you something else. I should be banned. You see what it says there? It says solid state. So I apologize to those, I apologize to those true tube fans with my solid state radio. Back to you, over.
No, Dennis, that's great, man. And I know you worked hard, saved your hard-earned money to buy that. And Tickle Speed of Death, you still have that, and it's working. So it sounded good. Anyway, thanks for checking in my helicopters, CB3A. Back to you, Dennis.
Helicopters working good. I was probably, 14 or 15 when I bought that, and my dad worked at Northrop Aircraft, and at that time, when helicopters had sold out, they were a subsidiary of Northrop, and he was able to get the employee discount. So he brought home the big brochure of all the helicopter stuff, and that was like the one thing I could afford. I think it was $29 or $19. They were still building amateur radios at that time. They had big tabletop shortwave radios, but they were not $29.95, that's for sure. Radio 4, don't go away. I want to hear another transmission on your helicopters, the real tube radio.
Hi, Dennis. Again, non-powered D104, and it has the S meter on the front and the VFO on the left. And we're on channel C, whichever, I guess you could put a crystal in whatever channel you wanted to, but anyway, that's the one, that 27085 is on. It's channel C, so it's working. Anyway, thanks for checking it in, Dennis.
Working well, sounds good. Thanks for bringing by the Hallicrafter CB3A from 1963, the old Tube Radio Network. We're listening for Radio 5. And my noise levels come up a little bit. If it's a little noisy, I can adjust the RF gain. Checking. I've got the, I'm going to bring the Echo Link up. But I don't, it's weird. I don't see, it's weird how that works. But if you look for Fresno, I should be on the list there. You might be able to do a direct connect or something like that. Anyway, if you'd like to try that, we will open the possibility of that up. The other possibility is that the Jingle Singers are ready at the ribbon microphones one more time.
You're listening in the latest style.
27.085 megahertz. Channel 11, Old Tube Radio.
In wonderful
Fresno, California.
In wonderful Fresno, California, I see that my audio is connected. The Jingle Singers and the Echo Link are on the same control here. But we do have an item. So I'm going to stay, here's how this is going to work. If you're local at 27085, you are hearing my transmitter, and I'm going to keep transmitting here for a little bit. And you will hear a conversation between myself and possibly, let me see if I can do this correctly. SWL71 Stan has jumped in here, so I'm going to hit this button. And I'm not sure if he's through. Let me try that, Stan. I'm not sure if you're direct or if you're going through a radio link. If you are, then you need ID. Otherwise, you wouldn't need ID. But if you can hear me, go ahead. We are got it linked up here at OTR in Central California. I'm just checking out the Echo Link and finding out what's happening. What's happening with the Pierce Simpson? Over.
Yeah, good evening, Dennis. This is, I'll go ahead and ID. This is KN4MVZ, SWL71 near Atlanta. Just waiting on the thunderstorms to get in here, over.
Well, we did not send them your way, I think. It's been beautiful weather. For your area, when you have a thunderstorm, is it really a thunderstorm? Is it the type where you definitely want to disconnect? Let me make sure I'm transmitting to you. When you have a thunderstorm in your area, is it the real kind of thunderstorm where you definitely want to disconnect the antennas from the radios? Over.
Yeah, Roger, I've already done that. Both of them, the dual band and my HF's disconnected. It's east of Birmingham, but it is weakening, but I just went ahead and shut them down for the night, over.
Sounds like a safe thing to do. Sometimes here you'll get the storms moving in. You hear that static, the noise of the static dissipation, the screechy noise on your receiver. That's when you know you should undo them. And there's the reports of seeing the static coming out of the center connection of the SO239. So the question I would like to ask you, I know you have a few tube radios in your collection, maybe. Do you still have the Pierce Simpson? I think you mentioned that you had a Pierce Simpson online at one time. Over. Oops, let me undisconnect here. I'm doing it. There we go.
Yeah, I do. I have a Guardian 23. That was mine, and my dad's 23B. And I actually have a transistorized Director 23. I bought that when I got out of high school. Heck, it's 50 years old now. And those are 3 Pierce Simpsons I have, over.
I've got the Guardian 23, but I didn't buy that in high school. The one I did buy was the Regency Imperial double sideband, which is around here somewhere. And when we first started doing the old Tube Radio Network, back in the mid-'80s, that was the radio that I used when it was actually working quite nicely. And then, of course, as you probably saw, my SWL radio from 1970, the FM 1000, which sort of got me prior to any other thing. And there were some Hallicrafters walkie-talkies, but SWLing sort of got me into the radio mode, into the transmitting mode. And you know it's a sickness from there. I'll go back to you for another transmission. Thanks for jumping in on the line. You sound good. The audio sounds good, and I don't want to take too long of a transmission here because we're keyed up on both radios, but I wanted to let people hear that our listeners from afar do have radios. I wish we could hear them, but this is one way that we can through the miracle of the Echolink. Thanks, Stan. We'll go back to you for a couple of comments, and hope to catch you in Foreland when I get some antennas up here that are correct, because usually from where you're at, should have a good shot on 20, on 15, on 10, when the band actually opens up. So that should be fun. From the KB6GFD, back to you.
Yeah, Roger, next weekend, Saturday and Sunday, is the Georgia Kiso party, so I'll be parked to be listening for you. Looks like we may have some propagation, maybe a little bit better. Okay, Dennis, I'll go ahead and get off and be listening to you on the old TV radio network. This is KN4 MVZ clear.
All right, one quick question I forgot to ask. What bands do you use, or did you have antennas for that you would typically be listening and or transmitting over?
Well, I have a 10 to 80 meter infed by my antennas and an ICOM 7300. So next weekend, I guess, it'll start out at 20 and 40, and then, at night it will go to 80. Probably 10 won't be in. I wish it would be. I'll check 15. A couple months ago, I got to about 6 contacts into California on 15 meters. But I couldn't believe it, but I worked the whole West Coast.
Yeah, I think 20 would be the best bet between us, and 40 is pretty much always open. So 15 opens, that would be good, because that's a great band for our location. All right, well, good luck. As I say, good luck in the contest, and I'll hopefully can be SWLing and see if I can hear you. It's during the day, it's a tough hop into Foreland on 40 meters from here. At night, not a problem, but you definitely got to have a decent antenna. 73, thanks for picking us up here with the Echolink, KB6GFD.
KN4 MVZ.
The Old Tube Radio Network. What are we doing? We're looking for Radio 5.
45.
And 45 perhaps has Radio 5 over.
Yeah, I thought I'd jump in there while I had a chance before Harvey and the big boys get in there. Anyway, I'm checking another one of my general radio telephones. Not that you haven't heard it before, but just I need to check it in and get it running. This is my general radio telephone VS4.
That has some very good audio. We'll talk about that. The general radio telephone Victor Sam, number 4. I'll see if I have a photo of perhaps that radio or one like it over.
No, that's not too good looking. Mine's better than that one. I got a better picture of it. I'm not saying the radio's better. That's the same one. You see the slide switches in the thing. That's the one with my VS2 and never hooked them up. So it's the same exact front end on the thing. 5 channels and all that. And manufacturers say they have 1960 on there. That's not correct. It's 1964 when they made this one. It has a bullhorn switch on the thing. That's the only thing. Or it's got a distance and local switch on the thing, which actually works. Other than that, it's the same front end exactly as the VS2. Just added a few goodies to it. So, other than that, there's not a whole lot I can tell you other than it's a neat old radio, little radio.
Looks good, sounds good. The switches are functional. The bullhorn The distance local, which is for receive only, so I'm assuming that's like a switchable RF gain type of issue, something like that. Or it would help out if somebody's 20 over, cut your noise down or cut it down anyway. That's sort of what I do here. I run the RF gain up to about the noise level. So if you ever watch the S meter and everything's at S7, that's not quite the noise level, but it helps, especially for the SWL, so don't go crazy listening into things. The audio is good on this radio. It's better than the VS2, and the signal is also, this one's got some decent output. You are about resting carrier at S8 to S9, but still it doesn't have the audio punch of the Super MC12, of course, but it does have a little bit more signal than the VS2. Over.
Yeah, before I forget, you check frequency on it. I think I'm dead on saying the frequency on the thing. But I want to tell you something interesting about this. This is all electronic. It's not really switching on the thing. Yeah, they did that way for the mobile. And really, it's a good idea, of course, for that thing. But as you know what's going to happen when you try to change mics on it. Back to you, Dennis.
Back to me. Let me switch over so I don't get an audio hit on your item here. We'll do the S meter. Check the zero beat. As soon as I hit SSB, whatever upper or lower it went to, you were right there. You are, as you mentioned, right on frequency. The crystal has held up well. Over.
Good. I knew I was pretty dead on the thing, so that's good. It's been a little off. I don't mess with change them anymore. The way crystals are hard to find, so I just leave them like they are. This one I was lucky it came this way. Okay. All right. The thing with these is about the same price as the other ones were. They're not very much, between $2 and $250. And darn well a good price for one of these radios because they're well made. They got a lot of nice tubes in the thing, and it's a super mobile radio, very strong. Thanks again, Dennis, for checking it in.
Looks good for stock. That one's got really decent output and some good audio to go with it. So another. Well, let's see. Was it the Loaf of Bread radio? There was a Jonathan Whiteface, a Pumpkin Bread radio. Somebody used to have a name. I think it was Eric. Had a nickname for that. It's like the Messenger 2 or the Viking was the Loaf of Bread radio, and this was sort of like pumpkin bread because it had that color on the front. Radio number 5 is the General Radio Telephone VS, number 4, and we are guessing that its 5 channels came out sometime around 1964. Thanks for bringing it by on the Old Tube Radio Network. And it looks like the Echolink connection is still up. If you got Echolink, go to your location and look for Fresno, California. I should be the only one that's not a link, I think. Pull the RF gain back a little bit to quiet the noise.
Break OTR.
That woke me up. The break OTR. Go ahead. Over.
50 checking in. Better late than never.
All right, 50 checking in and checking in. I'm going to do a lot of paperwork on this one. SWL 50. Better late than never. We will go to the big SWL chart, and 50 will turn. Let's see, if I press this button, it turns green, I think is what happens. Or it says, no, it's supposed to say checked in. Oh, there it is. I was looking at the wrong thing. And then if I pull out this list, you can tell me the radio on which you are transmitting. Over.
2
two-piece Golden Eagle Mark III sideband with a standard Bananarama mic.
The Mark III SSB looking really good. We've got the S meter up on the video, and it keys down with even more than what's the Browning standard report. It keys down with even more than 9 pounds. Good modulation, and goes way more than that. Chestnut and Herndon or worldwide, over.
10-4 on that one.
All right, you are officially Radio 6. We'll log you in at 9:30 for the Golden Eagles. Sounding good. There's a carrier, but the audio is either non-existent or very weak. OTR is listening. Yeah, that station right there. Good carrier, but I'm not hearing any audio. Andy, just looking at the comments, did you actually have one of the Space Patrol base stations? There was various forms of it. There's the famous one. That might be the one you're referring to. I had the one, I don't know who originally made it, but it's the one that Sears put out. It had the little code key and the antenna, the telescopic antenna. And it also had a shortwave. Did it have a shortwave radio on it? No, I guess it was just tunable on 23 channels. It was like the Super Gen receivers, so whoever was loudest on all 23 channels was basically who you heard, or the walkie-talkie that you were talking to down the street until they got out of range, and then you heard somebody on channel 6 or channel 9 or something like that. But a lot of us started out with 100 milliwatt stations for sure. OTR listening for radio number 7. Something I didn't do when we were talking about the Hallicrafters and checking in the Hallicrafters radios, and we have done this last couple of weeks talking about Bill Halligan, born in 1899, the founder of Hallicrafters radios, sort of worked our way through the Depression, post-war. During World War II, Hallicrafters was known for the BC 610. Any of you listening to the boat anchor stations, the 75-meter AM nets, you might hear someone talking on a BC 610, which is a giant transmitter about the size of a washing machine. And that was thanks to Hallicrafters on that. After 1945, production also began on the new line of consumer electronics, including radio phonograph units of all shapes and sizes, AM/FM receivers, clock radios in brightly colored Bakelite cases, and television receivers. Yes, indeed, Hallicrafters did make television sets. Many of the consumer products bore the name Echophone, ECHOPHONE. So look around in the attic or in the garage for any Echophones, and that's something from Hallicrafters. Competition was stiff in the consumer electronics field, and the Hallicrafters line of televisions never really took hold, although they stayed in production until the late 1950s. And get this, in 1952, Hallicrafters employed 2,500 people. So you know they were buzzing along. The 1950s were very successful for the company. Bill's son, Bill Jr., possibly other family members were involved in the operation of the United States during the 50s civil defense. So many Hallicrafters products from that period bore names like Civic Patrol and Defender. Some of the ham radio products became classics like the HT32 and the SX101. That's the receiver. The HT32 is the transmitter. I have an HT37. That was the transmitter after the 32. That weighs, I believe it weighs about 85 pounds. That's just the transmitter. In 1958, Bill Sr. wanted to retire, and the company was sold. Little was known about this transaction, but it apparently failed, and the Halligans resumed control a short time later. In 1963, Hallicrafters purchased Radio Industries Incorporated of Kansas City, running it as a subsidiary. Radio Industries produced many of the ham radio accessories and some major equipment like the HT45 Loudenboomer. The Halligans continued operations until about 1966, when the company was sold to the Northrop Corporation. That's what I was talking about earlier. So if you've got a Hallicrafters radio pre-1966, it's probably from the Chicago, Illinois. If you have one like I do, 1969, it is part of Northrop and probably made in Japan. So we'll talk a little bit more about Hallicrafters as time goes on, but some really good history with that station. We are looking for radio number 7. This is the Old Tube Radio Network. Hello to new stations logging from Spokane. We did have some stations logging coming by earlier over the air from, I think, that area. So check your 10-meter beacons, and then check your 27085 and see how we're doing on channel 11, looking for Radio 7. And the jingle singers said...
What are the magic numbers?
27.085 megahertz, channel 11.
Are the magic letters?
OTR.
Right here in
Fresno, California.
Radio Magic
Old Tube Radio.
for you.
Wow, we must have a bad mic connection somewhere. That's what happens when they're having too much fun at the Punch Bowl. One, two, three, four. Control room audio check. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the Old Tube Radio Network looking for Radio 7. Maybe we have some DX conditions that where everybody is at. If they're on the sideband channels talking to whoever. Well, Facebook hasn't kicked me off yet. Maybe they have. I should check. It would be about time, I would say.
Well, nevertheless, Dennis, we're enjoying the channel. We're enjoying the doggone the old tubers. I'd like to hear a lot more of the old mobile tubers.
Well, let's see. The Super MC12, I think it could go mobile with that. The Mark III, no, without difficulty. The VS2 was mobile, definitely. The CB3A was mobile, definitely. The VS4 was mobile, definitely. And then the other Mark III was not. So far tonight, seems like the mobile radios are the ones we are listening to.
I get a kick out of those mobiles. I just can't imagine using them radios and a mobile at the same time.
I'll have to find... I've got some good pictures of promotional shots of the big radios being used as mobiles, and it's always, everybody's showing how easy it is, and everybody's having a good time. In fact, for the CB3A that we were talking with earlier, the ad that they show the thing sort of mounted under the big dashboard, and you can tell it's a gentleman in a suit, with the cufflinks. So it's pretty high-class stuff, these mobile radio. And then it says that every salesman, delivery truck, service station, photographer, newspaperman, detective, ambulance, boat, airplane, construction vehicle, repair shop, police department, hospital, doctor, lawyer, merchant, or chief should be equipped with Helicrafters low-cost personal two-way radio. So it was for everybody.
That was me.
All you needed was that 102-inch steel whip. Mounted to the side of your vehicle. And then you could be like, who was it? Broderick Crawford in Highway Patrol.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, what's cool, like when John talks about what he used, the HB333, then you realize you put it in a car of the day, 64 Olds Jetstar with the half-wave center-loaded bumper mount whip. I think that was the standard antenna. It works pretty good. They still work good. They still can't beat a 102-inch whip.
Yeah, my favorite was the Francis.
All right. Well, I don't have a copy or a picture of the radio. I don't have a picture of the HB333, but I do have a picture of the Jetstar. I do have a picture of the Oldsmobile. Yours may have been a different flavor. That looks like the two-door sedan, but that would definitely hold any big boat anchor radio, and there's plenty of metal for that whip to make a good ground plane. I take it back. I do have a HB333. There it is. 1964. Well, that works perfectly, huh? With the olds when they came out in 1964, 13-tube transceiver. Then it had a 20-watt PEP input. Was it a business band? 23 just channel crystal controlled with continuously tunable receiver, dual conversion, super heterodyne receiver. Double sideband with full carrier. That sounds like a nice radio. I don't know if we've ever had any of those check in. It's manufactured by Polytronics. Lafayette, I don't know if they made any of the radios, but they're always made by somebody else. But from Polytronics, so that's probably a Polytronics something, huh? Oh, and this is from Stan. Stan, I didn't know that. I just noticed it was one of your radios from your collection. Thanks for that great picture. You're listening to the Old Tube Radio Network. Still time to check in a radio or say hello or whatever you want to do before we sign out tonight. We are looking for Radio 7.
How many radios are checked in?
So far we have checked in 6 radios. Over. Let's just say 6 official glow-in-the-dark radios.
Oh, okay.
And hello to the 90s kiddo, listening in or watching it at the YouTube video, the Old Tube Radio Network here in Central California, beaconing to wherever and listening for and talking with and about the classic tube radios from 1958 to 1978. We were looking for Radio 7.
Break OTR.
Boy, somebody just got very loud. The break OTR, go ahead.
Yeah, well, I've been watching movies, so had to get in here. And anyway, Dennis, I would like to check in this radio.
You've come to the right spot on a Saturday evening. The Old Tube Radio Network does just that, checking in classic tube radios. Go ahead, over.
Okay, well, I want to check in my general radio telephone. My Super MC11A, a 24-channel model on this one here. I'll run this here with a handheld microphone.
grabbing a picture of the Super MC11A. Good choice. We started out the evening with the Super MC12, which, if you can believe it, actually had some peaks and tweaks and little improvements off of that radio. I don't know how it's possible, but they both sound most excellent. Give us another transmission with what is now Radio 7.
No, who checked that in? Was it Paul up on the hill or something? What?
Yeah, Paul started off tonight with the Super MC12, which even had, I think, a bigger final tube or something, but they all sound good.
Well, I'm glad Paul did something like that.
You know, he has quite a collection of general radio telephones.
I know. I've heard you talk about it and him talk about it many, many times. And he's even got something up there with a no name, right?
He has one, or who else has it? Steve had one. There was the bullet hole special, the no name radio. If there's something weird and wacky, you probably have checked it in here. The Super MC11A, 23 channels, 9 tubes. All that noise with only 9 tubes.
On mine or his?
On your 11A. I'm thinking I have to check the 12. We had a tube complement on that to see if they added anything.
Oh, okay. All right, well, let me jump off this here and see if I can fire up something else here real quick.
All right, thanks for bringing it by. Radio 7, the very loud, from General Radio Telephone Super MC11A. Thanks.
20.
And hello, Harvey, over.
Hello, Dennis. Yeah, I just snuck in here. I haven't had time to get this radio off the bench. Eventually, I probably will. The R2700A receiver with the compact transmitter.
From Browning Laboratories, the compact. I may still have a shot of the compact up from last week because it was a little bit hard to find. It was not in our... Oh, you know what? I think Toby sent me he sent a photo. He sent a really good photo of one over to the Old Tube Radio site. I haven't been able to move it over yet, but yeah, you have fans. You have fans for that radio.
Well, that hot. I don't know.
Well, you have, let me put it, instead of mechanical fans, you have appreciative fans throughout the Universal Media Netweb for that radio.
Oh, I knew what you meant. They just had a picture of one on Facebook. Some guy picked it up or whatever. I don't know where he got it, because I didn't see it advertised on Facebook or eBay, but I have about 5 or 6 different radios in eBay. As far as listed, if they get it, I get a email to my phone into the computer so that I know that somebody just listed it. But I didn't get it, so I guess he found it somewhere. Yeah, this one's 11 channels with the center channel being external. And I have channel 11 plugged in there. Excuse me. I have not put a receive crystal in for the manual receive. Well, manual receive is tunable. On the crystal receive, there's A, B, C, D, E. I think channel 10 is in there. Came with it, but not 11. But I have an extra 11 crystal that fits these radios. So I'm going to probably put it in now that I keep talking on this thing.
Yeah, you want to do that. I found the photo that Toby sent. Very nice. It's a large format So I have to scroll up and down where it says Citizen Transmitter, Browning Compact, and the BL logo. There's the external crystal, the light. Tell me about the next transmission. Tell me about the light there on the right side, what it does. It blinks or just shows transmit. And then there is the little center spot that I don't know. Are you supposed to physically scratch your call sign into the paint, or is that relieved so that you could stick a piece of paper or something on there?
The light is your original, red jewel light. Goes on with key up and flickers with modulation. That rectangle up top, double rectangle, one inside the other. I take it you were supposed to either put a little sticker or write with pencil or something, your call letters. And down below where the channel selector is, you have little rectangles, where I guess you write in your transmit channel numbers. Anyway, none of that's written in or stickers on mine, so that's a good thing. It's not cosmetically perfect, but being it was the only one that I've ever seen for bidding, I bid on it regardless of its overall condition, which turns out to be, I'd say, about 85-90%. The paint on the case is original, I believe, and looks great. The receiver's paint is a slightly different color, but both units seem to go together. I fixed the receiver, so it receives really good now, and I'm happy with it. I have these receivers, and I'm debating on which one to permanently pair this with, and I'm not sure, but so far I'm leaving this one with it for right now. The radio, the transmitter has the regular tubes that go in the Golden Eagle, the Mark II, the S9, and 23S9. Same complement of tubes, 12AU7 into a 12AX7 audio into a 6BQ5 modulator, 6GH8 transmit oscillator into a 5763 final.
Can you still find a 5763? I know what you were supposed to use. I don't know why it didn't pop into my brain. Was it the Dymo label maker? That was the labeling thing of the time. So you would rotate the little dial and press the handle, rotate the dial and press the handle. I bet those are probably just the size of that labeling tape that you could do that. So that probably be the best way to do it. So get out, go to eBay, buy your Dymo label maker, see if you can find some tape for it and label away. Yeah. The radio sounds good. With the photo we have with Toby, he's holding it in his hand, so I get a good sense of the size of that transmitter. It's basically compact. You think they would have named it appropriately?
Roger. It's about the same size as the T2700 and T2700S. It also doesn't have a power supply in it. Power comes from the receiver. The T2700 and there's the T2700S. Fewer channels, but I think it does say on the air on there, while this doesn't say on the air by the light. One of them has a supply. The other one actually has the power supply in it. Anyway, I picked up a couple of microphones that I'm going to try and get on the air in the next month, I think. 3 of them are Western Electric. where they have the patents that say 04, 06, and 15. So that's how old they are.
37.
All right. Got you there, Chris. Don't go away. They're not old. They're like you. They're not old. They're still going strong. And hello to Tim, listening up from Washington, mentioning he tried to listen in on 27085. We had right at the beginning of the net, just before the net, the station logged in or called in, and then also I think the guys up on 38 lower were talking to some of the Washington stations, but our sporadic E has sort of fizzled out, but not so our local stations like Harvey here talking about this unit that he is on, the Browning Compact that's transmitted the R2700A receiver. Just great audio. I don't know if you've had a chance to listen to the playback, but it's a good thing. You've done well with that.
All righty. Okay, I'm going to check one more in after Chris does, and that'll do it for me. I have a fourth mic. I think it's a Western Electric. Also, slightly different style. I have 3 Western Electric. Well, wait. 1, 2. Now I'm going to have 2. I've got 1. It's already here. Western Electric model 615-A. And then I'm getting a second one. And then I have a third Western Electric that's, I'm not sure of the model number, but it says Western Electric. And the one I'm looking at could be Western Electric, but I'm not sure. It doesn't have the bottom plate. I think I'm going to have to make that. But anyway, turn it back to you, fire up one more, and that'll do it.
Good. We're going to make it 2 double-digit radios, I think, here tonight. So sounding good, radio number 8, the Browning Compact Transmitter, what we were listening to there. We will be listening to now a selection from Chris. Hello, radio.
Hello, Dennis. All right, this time here we're going to check in our Courier Royale 23 child tube with all, with a child, a 23 child tuber that is, they're all tubes, that's right, with all the knobs on it and the blinking lights. So it's here with the amplified D104 lollipop.
Yeah, I've got a shot. Boy, it's blue. I've got something wrong with the camera here, but there is nothing wrong with your radio. How did you decide on the Courier? Did you roll the dice? There must have been some method to your madness.
Well, I don't know. I just flipped the switch, and that's where it stopped at. That was the number 5 spot on my switch, so I figured I'd start with that one there after the other one, and, I started from 2 to 5, and I may go back to 4.
Well, whatever the dial is on, whatever you've got it tuned to, it's sounding good in the Old Tube Radio Network. Radio number 9 from Courier, the Royale, which was stated to be their it was their top-of-the-line radio, but supposedly built for the CEO of the company that had everything.
Well, it definitely has everything.
Sounds good. Logging in as Radio 9, thanks for bringing it by. And I think if Harvey has one more, we will get to 10 radios here before we sign off this evening.
Well, no, we actually make it to 11.
Okay, we might make it to 11 radios. The jingles, they're so happy they want to sing about it. Here we go.
Let's do some spelling.
OTR. 27.085 megahertz. Channel 11, Old Tube Radio. Old Tube Radio.
All right, we got a loose connection on the jingle singers. Looking for Radio 10.
Radio 10.
Radio 11.
11, 12.
Man, 10, 11, 12. All right. 10, we've got 30. We've got Chris. 11, we've got Harvey. And 12, we have Mike. We'll go in that order. Since the jingle singers aren't working too well for me here, we'll go with radios. That's why we are here in the first place. At 10, 11 is when we will log in your next radio, Chris. Over.
Okay, now you have to admit, Dennis, that was a quick change, wasn't it?
Yes, indeed. It's almost as though people jumped up out of their chairs and says, by golly, it's Saturday night. I know what I'm supposed to be doing.
That's right. All right, well, Dennis, this time here, I am going to check G Powermate, the Gem Marine Products. This is the 23 channel tuber that glows in the dark. This is the pretty blue one here that I have. And we're running this here with the amplified D104 Lollipop also.
Do have a picture of that. I think if Facebook hasn't blown up, that Ray is still listening. Appreciate hearing the G Powermate. So we'll go back to you for another transmission.
Hello, Ray, if you're awake up there on the hill. You got more snow probably. I know you had. I've seen the pictures. He did send me pictures last week of some snow. It was snowing pretty good. It's just coming back from the train station. So anyway, yes, Dennis, it's working, and yes, we need to let somebody else check in.
All right, the Gem Marine Products G Powermate from the famous Panasonic chassis that made all sorts of radios like the T123B from Robin and others, doing quite nicely on this particular radio. Sounding good. All right, thanks for bringing it by, and thanks for jumping into the radio room tonight with us. Heading over to, at the official time of 10:13, one of my favorite numbers, favorite combination of numbers is, who would that be? That would be Harvey on something. Over.
Number 20 on the Browning Golden Beagle R68 T68 from Browning Lavatories with the custom D104 with the Browning medallion on the back. And, well, technically I might have a surprise about the Browning medallion next week, but we'll see. Anyway, that's this one here. It's one of my favorites. And I'll turn it back to you so you can turn it back to Mike. And Mike, don't forget, give me a call, whenever it's convenient, next couple days, tonight, whatever, and we'll discuss the radios. Okay, thank you, Dennis.
Thank you, Harvey. Got a picture of the Browning, the Golden Eagle, original Golden Eagle, the R68, T68 combination, always sounding good. And I'm imagining maybe it's like cats. If you check in one Browning for the evening, then to keep the other Browning from getting jealous, you have to make sure it gets checked in as well. And I think you have done okay with that. So you can sleep well tonight without getting hassled and having to break up a fight in the radio room. Radio 11, the Browning R68, T68, the original Golden Eagle sounds good. Thank you, Harvey. Let's head over up to North Fresno for our next check-in, Radio 12. And I'm not sure, when you keyed up, I couldn't exactly tell what the radio you might have. So you have to tell me. Hello, Mike.
Well, no harm done there, because I couldn't even remember. There were so many people chiming in there. I wasn't sure which one I would wind up being. But before I even tell you what this is, it's amazing how your clairvoyance is just, you can predict what's in before they actually do it. So I'm just getting home, and you were talking about that little label making machine where you turn the dial, to the letter that you want, and then you pull the trigger, and eventually the little sticky tape comes out with whatever you want to print out. Well, right when I got home, I flipped on my radio, my only radio that happens to have that on the top of it, something that says upper and lower. And if the FCC is listening right now, they're more than welcome to come. And unfortunately, I always play by the rules. So if someone wants to fix that to be perfectly legal, they can. Although, maybe that's not illegal. But anyways, so your comment on that was amazing, because that's the radio that I wanted to check in first here, the Robin T123 with the Magic Eye tube and 2 strips of that nice label-making tape on the top.
That was the way to label things. I wasn't thinking when Harvey was talking about the little slots there, and I'm sure that's exactly what they were made for. And refresh my memory, did you say you were on the B or the non-B? Over.
This is the non-B, the T123. I hope I didn't say B. T123. No Bravo after that. Just the Magic Eye 2. Definitely is illuminating. God, it's awesome. I love weird things. And this radio definitely has it, man. That Magic Eye tube just rocks, in my opinion. Smells good too, even though I think Harvey might get a chuckle out of this. I think this radio at one point in time had a run-in with a Charlie Alpha Tango, which decided to relieve itself on my speaker on this radio. So I think once it wound up in Harvey's hands, he decided to switch that out, and instead of feline urine smell, it just smells like great warm vacuum tubes.
We were talking about the burning dust off the tubes earlier, that if you've never driven a tube radio before, there were a couple of things. There was the fun, with actually operating it and talking, but there was also like enjoying your Christmas tree for the first couple of weeks. That odor of the burning dust on the tubes, which is a good thing. It's not like the odor of a blowing up capacitor. It's a nice thing that's, I would liken to the Christmas tree smell. Sort of like it gives you the reason for the season. It's the radio room. It's when you go in the radio room, it's like, it's radio time once again. The Magic Eye 2 winking and blinking, the audio always good on the Robin. And I think that is a 13. No, I don't have. It's 11 tubes. That's right. The other ones are 13. 11 tubes, all functioning and working well. Over.
Well, thank you. It's always a pleasure to check that particular radio in. I am going to switch gears again because it was kind of spooky how you had made a comment about the tape, labeling tape, and that was the first radio I wanted to check in. The second one, and maybe you can elaborate on this more, you just made a comment a short time ago about the Panasonic chassis, and I think, although I could be grotesquely wrong on this, the radio I'm checking in right now, the second Robin from the radio lounge for this evening is the T123 Bravo, and you might have said that this is essentially like a Panasonic chassis on this different radio. Is that right?
You are correct. The radio, we have the Gemtronics G PowerMate, Radio 10. Think if you were to pop the tops and sort of look around inside, you would see very similar items of interest. But they changed, what do they call it, the elevation. They changed the front panels depending on various lights for modulation. This one seems to have gotten the big plus on illumination. Some of them had the range boosts. Some of them had meter selects. But for the amount of lighting that this one has, I think maybe Robin paid Panasonic a little bit more and said, we want to have all the light circuitry on ours, and so you got it.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about the lights. For me, Magic Eye Tube, man, they rock. It was like the major feature that I was looking in for my first tube radio. This thing definitely has lights. I guess they're LED or incandescent bulbs, depending on where you're looking on the radio. I think the main thing I can talk about, if we're going to be discussing, illumination on these two radios, the Robin T123 with no Bravo after that. So that's got I guess it's on the needle meter, S meter. The back of it's white, and of course all the marking on the meter is just painted on there black. And on this 123 Bravo that I'm speaking on right now, the gauge or the meter face is painted black, and everything that you're looking at is on the meter is actually white. There's probably a better way to describe it. I'll leave that up to you. It's probably a little bit easier to read on the 123. Again, no Bravo. Everything that's painted on that meter is black, or at least it was when it was manufactured. And unfortunately, over time, that's kind of faded a bit. So, from far away, it's a little bit harder to read the meter. Whereas on this thing, with essentially all the background on the meter being black, maybe it's a little bit easier to see exactly what that needle is doing.
Isn't it 9 pounds, good modulation, Chestnut and Herndon? I thought that's what they all do. But that's how I've been trained. He's checking the meter. I'm assuming right now the meter's not doing much of anything.
Wait a minute. Are you? You're not talking to me.
Now I'm talking to you.
Okay. So something may have happened. No, it's definitely doing something right now. Hello. Yep, it's working.
Looks good, sounds good. If it looks good and it sounds good, that means it is good. The Robin T123B, and I was wrong. That still has. Moving the microphone here. I need to oil the Heil Boom mic here. It still only has 11 tubes, and there is, for those interested at oldtuberadio.com, you can pick up an operator's manual for that, or a schematic for that. At least that's what it says. I don't know. I guess if you just click on it, it'll show up somewhere in a PDF format or something. But in the meantime, if you just like to listen to it like I do, this is the place to be. You are lucky Radio 13, by the way.
Oh, good. The only other thing I can say about this radio, since I'm doing two Robins back to back, I got to say that, there's something different with the receive audio quality. Now, I don't know if it's because of, like an aftermarket speaker on my 123 versus what could be an original speaker on this Bravo that I'm speaking on right now. I think the audio quality on receive is something. There's something more appealing to it on the 123 versus this Bravo. I almost want to reach down the radio and see if I can kind of change the tone on it. It's a little brighter and a little bit more distorted. Not very deep, but I don't know. We'll see. It works. It works fine. I can hear everyone.
Yeah, I don't think they added any tone controls. Could be the audio tubes, amplifier or something is not quite what it should be. I don't know if they had capacitors for, I know they haven't, the transmit audio. I don't know about the receive audio. That does run the 12AX7 in the modulator mic preamp. So you've got the good audio tube for your transmit side, which makes sense because they always sound good. All right, at 10, oh my gosh, at 10:26, I got to get some counting and amounting going, but we'll keep things open for comments, questions, if people want to chat and whatever, and get the totals for tonight. Things picked up quite well in the last half of the evening. We did some an Echolink contact tonight, and some other items of interest. Lots of stations still staying up late with us tonight, listening in the wee hours of Saturday, Sunday, Maryland, New York. I don't know how the New York stations do it. I don't think I could. I think I'd last. I'd be snoring away. But Washington's in. Hello, lots of California stations. Framingham. I got to look up. I got to get my logbook and look up who that Framingham station was that I used to talk to on AM. Anyway, Mike, you are sounding good. Thanks for logging in a few more radios for us tonight.
Ooh, my pleasure. And I'm definitely curious about how that Echolink thing worked out.
All right, I'm not ignoring you. I was trying to get something off the workbench, and I have the Helicrafters radio sitting up there, and I didn't want to knock it over. Do something really bad here at the end. Yeah, I actually had enough time before the radio thing tonight, and got the Echolink set up, and Stan was good enough to find me on his list and log in. The audio sounds good, of course, and so when I can think of it, we'll do that a little bit more. It offers some people who cannot, even if you're local, I suppose, and couldn't get on the radio, a chance to get in and say hello. So it works out good. It's kind of, you have to coordinate between the transmitter and this transmitter and making sure everybody can hear you, but it's a good thing. For the way I'm working it now, I think eventually I'd like to have an external node that everybody can get on and chat while we're talking, and then just jump into it. But it does a good thing.
Okay. Maybe we'll have to chat about that at some other point in time. I'm going to be I don't know what I want to say. There's a cool location I'd like to check in from that is not during the standard time for OTR, but it's going to be a pretty cool thing that I'd like to check in on, and I think that that Echolink might be the only way to do it, but we'll chat about that later.
Indeed. Any last stations would like to jump in? I'm going to do counting and amounting here, and the Old Tube Radio Network will get signed off here. Where are the jingle singers? They're over the punch bowl. Okay, I got a couple of them that'll get close. We've been having a bad connection from the other studio. Let's see if they can do one more before we lose the connection completely.
OTR Channel 11, Fresno, California.
Stay with us.
Old Tube Radio.
Oh, I think I know what the problem is. You know what? It is my fault. I apologize to the jingle singers. I have the audio. I forgot the audio that runs the jingle singers and the Echolink were on the same link, because I turned it way down to get the Echolink quality. So that is why. So it is not. I apologize. Not their fault over there. You know, sometimes they do play tricks on me.
right, maybe I'm going to buy OTR just a couple moments. I know this is a long shot with it being so late, but I'm curious if there's someone who might be listening right now that has a 356 parked in their driveway, and maybe some other time I'll elaborate on why I'm asking. But someone that might be listening with a 356 parked in their driveway. I don't know if someone has that right now.
Okay, what is a 356? And if I have to ask, then it's probably bad. I mean, it's bad because I don't know.
No, I'm trying to be moderately discreet here. It's a Porsche 356 that I just happened to drive by today. It was parked in someone's driveway, and they had some sort of an 11-meter antenna attached to their carport. It wasn't an IMAX. Maybe it was an Astron 99. I'll have to drive by tomorrow and check it out. Anyways, it was just peculiar. Two little things I'm interested in: old Porsches and these radios.
Oh.
Yeah, they're really cool. Go look them up. Porsche 356. Very, very, very cool cars.
356. Okay. That's I'm used to the numbers that started with 9, so this probably is something a little bit newer.
Nope. Actually quite a bit older. I think they stopped them in 64? 65. 64 or 65.
All right. Well, that's apropos for what we're doing, and I know I don't know my Porsches very well, but I have seen one. I just pulled up a video. Let me see if I can. We'll pop that up here. So people can see what we're talking about while I'm counting and amounting. So if I do that, and 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 I do that, aha, okay, and I do this, if you're watching the video, and I can get it centered up, there's the classic 356, not quite the bathtub car, but all right, let's leave that up there while we do the accounting and amounting. Let me get the fanfare going. I think I've got the audio right, guys. Give it a try over there in the other studio.
This is the Old Tube Radio Network. Ladies and gentlemen, stand by. It's time now for the current OTR totals.
The current final totals for the Old Tube Radio Network here tonight, where we had 13 check-ins on page 1, 12 on page 2, 15 on page 3, and 18 on page 4 for a total of 60. No, let's make that 58. And a total of 13 radios. Oh, and I found that call. I was thinking about because I remember the guy was, just really wild on AM. W1GAC George out of Framingham, Massachusetts. To talk to him at 29102. So it's 10 meter AM. I always tell the 10 meter AM guys, AM is just, it brings out the personality in the voice. And this is logged in 11/5/1988. W1GAC. And I've got some notes in there in pencil. I can't read them because they're all fading away because this is 30 years old. It says on air since, that can't possibly be right. On air since 1928, mostly AM homebrew gear. Well, maybe. That's why I remembered that guy when I saw Framingham, Mass. W1GAC, George. Homebrew gear. Well, I guess if you were on the air since 1928, it would have to be homebrew gear, right? We talked about Helicrafters. Well, they were maybe had an early Helicrafter set or something. All right, so that was bugging me all night, and I just remember how he used to say Framingham, Mass. On the air since 1928. Oh my gosh, and that's 30 years ago. So my guess is I probably won't have a chance to talk to George again, but see, I remember, George. Now, where are we going? 13 radios, the most heard manufacturer, and things changed at the end. I thought I had this all checked out. I think it's General Radio Telephones with 3. We had 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, it's actually General Radio Telephones with 4. Robbins came in with 2. With the Brownings, we had 2 Brownings. Let me read the list here. Just taking a pause to make sure that I've got the frequency. Started off with the General Radio Telephone Super MC12, their last, and we're looking at, the video, if you're watching the video, we're looking at the Porsche 356. I have no idea why. Do you think anyone ever dared put an old tube radio or a CB radio of any kind in that vehicle? And then if they did, let's assume that they did. Do you think that they somewhere punched a hole? You think they took it to a shop, said, could you drill a hole in this car? Could you drill a hole and put an antenna on this car? Do you think that ever happened? I don't know. Radio number 2, thanks, Paul, for your getting us started off. Radio number 2 was the Browning Golden Eagle Mark III SSB from Jerry. Then we have the General Radio Telephone VS2 with the funky time switches from Paul for Radio 3. Radio 4 was Jerry on the Helicopter CB3A, where I got to actually show off the FM 1000 tonight. I'll have to watch the video back, and I probably didn't even hold it up for people to see, but I got involved in my FM 1000 trying to make it work, and it actually did. I didn't drop it. I didn't drop it yet, and it didn't fall apart. Radio number 5 was the Golden General Radio Telephone VS4 from Paul. Radio 6 was Monkey's Uncle and the Browning Golden Eagle Mark III SSB. It's good to get that one on the list. A lot of times he sneaks in, and I don't get a chance to check it in. Radio 7, Chris on the General Radio Telephone Super MC11A. That was followed by Radio 8, Harvey on the Browning Compact with the R2700A combination. Just a great-sounding radio. The Courier Royale, always sounding good from Chris for Radio 9. He followed that with his Gemtronics G Powermate. Radio 10. Radio 11, Harvey on the Browning R68 T68 from Browning Lavatories. And then the double play Robin, the T123 and the T123B. Radios 12 and 13. So we did okay. And an Echolink contact as well. Let me the studio here. Bye to the Porsche. And that is the question. So, Mike, when you find the 356, you said it had an antenna on it. So I'd be curious to know where in the heck they decided to put a hole in that thing. OTR listening.
Yeah, the antenna was on the carport that it was parked by, not on the car itself.
Okay. So still, there may still not be one of those radios that has, or one of those cars that has a radio in it. What can I say? Good night, everybody. The Old Tube Radio Network will do this again next Saturday. Thanks for those tuning in. Hopefully you do something like this where you're at an old radio night or a radio night or a get on the air night or something. It's fun. We've been doing it here for almost 35 years, I think. So we'd like to do it. Our radio collectors take time out of their Saturday evenings from whatever they're doing and jump in and say hi to us and all of you. 73, everybody. We will catch you next time on the Old Tube Radio Network.
Thanks a lot, Dennis.
And as it gets quiet and not a speck of skip, no DX for the Old Tube Radio Network. Good night, everybody.